Join Drs. Savanah Craig and Ronnetta Sartor as we navigate life beyond graduation. Real conversations about forging our own paths in our early years in our careers. There's a reason it's called practicing dentistry.
Hey guys, for this week's episode, we will be talking about burnout and how to prevent it. Planning vacation time and just time off to not do dentistry. Savannah is a lot better at this than I am. So I am going to give her the floor to begin at this. This is something that I definitely struggle with.
Oh man, no pressure. I don't know. I just like to travel and do vacations. I think especially this year being in South Carolina, we've wanted to, hit a bunch of weekend trips and see a bunch of places. So we've really made that a priority. Yeah, I think Adam and I have always been really good at I plan them and Adam goes along with it, basically. So I'll be like, we have nothing planned this weekend. Let's go do something. And he's like, can we just sit at home? I'm like, absolutely not.
There you go. Do you think it will change when you guys are back in Ohio, since it won't necessarily be a completely new place?
We were talking about that. I think it'll be different, but I mean, this is also just how I have always been, whether it's a weekend trip home to see family or we'll have friends not very far in like Cincinnati and Cleveland. So I don't know, it'll be, it won't be going to the beach on the weekends, but I think we'll still get traveling around. I was hoping my work schedule would, be more conducive to weekend trips, long weekend trips, but my day off is Wednesday, so I'll deal.
Understood. When I was in residency, first leaving residency as an early associate, I feel like I planned, every weekend was booked of like fun things to do. And then COVID happened and I just kind of got used to like being home. So I need to do better at like just planning ahead for the time off. So I'll of course plan time off for continuing education because that's fun to me. And the team at our office, we look at the calendar and we actually plan vacation days. So that since we're a smaller team, 2 weeks out of the year we'll plan together which weeks we'll have off. And so one of those weeks is coming up and I let time kind of get away from me and I don't have any plans. So I'm going to work on that. I guess I've got time to.
I think the big thing with stuff like that, especially when it's coming up so soon, is like, it doesn't have to be a huge trip.
Mm-hmm.
Like we're going away this weekend because of course we are. And we're just like getting a cabin up in North Carolina and we're really only going to be there like all day tomorrow and a little bit on Sunday, but I have to be out of my house and not able to check my planner, leave my laptop, and that's the only way I can like turn my brain off. So I think that lends itself more to me wanting to take more trips.
Understood.
Which is bad for, the bank account. But.
It's funny. I think during the summer and spring and part of fall, while it's really nice out, a lot of times I don't want to leave home because I love to garden.
Yeah.
And so I'm just like, I guess that's a corny excuse for like not planning a vacation. But
I know.
Yeah, I spend a lot of time. That kind of helps me when I'm feeling like I'm going to get burnt out or anything like that. I spend a lot of time out in nature. But I do need to like plan because I have the ability to like leave, like you're saying, for a weekend trip and do those things. But
I think that could be a good thing, don't they? Isn't there a quote about like building a life you don't need a vacation from?
it's true.
So, having your garden and, you have a home that you designed to make a place that you don't want to leave
Hmm.
versus like we live in an apartment and we were only here for a year. So I think that's different too. Um, and as long as you're taking time to like step away from dentistry, CE is not a vacation.
I know, I know. Yeah, I did this wild thing last year where I went to a conference that was in Orlando. So we planned a family trip that would include me going to my classes, but doing all of the Disney things
Nice.
outside of it. It was nice in theory. But I came back needing a vacation from my vacation. So, yeah, I will not be doing that again.
You tried it.
I
It
tried
didn't
it.
work
It
out.
didn't work, but yeah.
I think that's I'm excited for our honeymoon, obviously, but I'm worried that I'm going to need a vacation from the vacation too, just because we've tried to pack so much in, but we'll
Okay.
see.
Pretty good.
Yeah.
Where are you guys going for your honeymoon?
We're going to Croatia for a week and then a Greek cruise for a week.
Nice. That'll be fun.
Yeah. Where our thought was, sort of traveling around Croatia more, active and having to, catch the bus from here to there or whatever versus the cruise of like it's sort of all included and you
Mhm.
just get on the boat and go and wherever it stops you explore sort of deal.
Yeah. On a cruise, you guys probably it's less hustle and bustle, so you'll be able to relax, it seems.
That's the theory at least.
It's pretty good.
But
So, how do you I know you mentioned you guys do a lot of like weekend spontaneous type trips. Do you do any planning like calendar year type of planning for time off?
we haven't up to this point. Um, well, I guess in dental school, your calendar was your dental school breaks.
Mhm.
And so just knowing that, okay, we've got the month of August off or whatever. And then residency sort of had its own schedule. We got time off around the holidays and things like that. So I feel like my life has always been dictated by somebody else's schedule in a way. So it'll be interesting. You know, there's no dedicated break schedule necessarily in work. I'm sure we'll get, Christmas and things like that off, but otherwise it'll be up to me to figure it out.
Understood. I know it's some philosophies. I think Dr. Rice, he says it a lot. Like it's three areas that you have to plan time for. You're familiar with what I'm talking about?
Mhm.
Yeah, so I don't want to mess up his quote, but I know one's like for continuing education, one's for fun, and, the other one's just like for things that are, I believe, important to you and the people around you.
Yeah.
And so I've tried to plan, you know, my year that way. The only part that I haven't, so I plan the time off. I just have to get better at actually executing doing something with the time off.
Yeah, I think that's fair. Um, yeah, I don't know. I think we'll have to circle back to this in like January because I mean, residency is July to July and then, the wedding, the honeymoon. So I feel like this year is planned, knowing
Mhm.
myself it won't be. Um, my grandparents are always like, where are you going this weekend? What are you doing? Do you never stay home? And I'm like, sorry, I don't know. They won't mind it when it's to visit them once we're
Oh, yeah.
back.
For sure, for sure.
But, so yeah, I don't know if we'll start over in January and be like, okay, plan for the year or how that will work. Adam gets 2 weeks, like, that the company is shut down.
Okay.
Um, so it would be nice. It would make sense to plan around that. But
Mhm.
I think the other thing that's really funny in this transition is, like, I'm blessed in that my job doesn't have, like, a limit on vacation,
That's nice.
but it's just you don't get paid if you're not there, which
Mhm.
makes sense. Um, but so that's, like, a weird balance of, "Meh, do we really need the money, or do I need to take time off or whatever?"
Mhm. And I think that's very personal, you know?
Yeah,
Some people, they're like, "I can't take off because I wanna save
for
or
sure.
I wanna pay things off." But then kinda what this whole podcast is about is avoiding burnout. But I think an even bigger thing is how do you know when you're approaching the level of burnout?
Mhm.
What are some signs for you that you know, okay, it's time that I take a step back and
Yeah, I think when you don't wanna get out of bed and go to work or go and do the things you need to do, just that sense of dread. And I mean, there's a difference between like, I just don't want to wake up today and like, I truly do not want to go do anything. And in dental school, I definitely got to that point. And in residency, in a different way, like right around Christmas, when it would have been Christmas break from, college or dental school, all 6 of us residents kind of got in this funk, and we were all like, "What is going on?" And we're like, "This is the first time in our whole lives we haven't had at least a couple weeks break right now." And so I think that was a really weird feeling to get through. Um, but I think finding people inside and outside of dentistry that remind you that you're more than a dentist has been really important to me to prevent burnout. And honestly, more so recently, the people in the profession who can be like, nope, are you taking care of yourself? Take a break. You know, moving into this next year and reminding, like, hey, find a PCP, find a gym, think about all of those things in addition to, okay, I got to move, I got to get a job. Remembering that there's more to this. What about you?
I think I know that I'm starting to get burned out is just when I shut down and don't really want to do anything or don't really want to talk because it's so much to do
Yeah.
that I just feel overwhelmed.
Yeah.
When I get to that point, I need to take a break. What I have found is, like you said, doing things daily.
Yeah.
So, like, it might be before going to work, I do a workout. When I get off from work, maybe I do yoga or talk to a friend while I'm going on a walk
Mhm.
or go out and do some work in my garden to get, you know, the endorphins and stuff going. Um, just a break, like you said, from dentistry because it's an incredible profession. But if you don't, if you aren't taking care of yourself, you can't do your best to take care of your patients.
Uh, we always said in college, put on your oxygen mask first.
Hmm.
Um, and I think another way that I learned that I was burned out, and then how I've gotten preventative is like when I start personally like being more bitter towards my patients, or being short with my team. I, at least in the beginning for sure, and especially in dental school, took a lot of my patients home with me.
Mhm.
Because in dental school, you're like, please show up for your appointment or I'm not going to graduate. Like, I did care more about their mouth than they did because my degree was on the line.
Right.
And so now in residency and then going into private practice, like there is a point of, I've educated you,
Mhm.
whatever, but if you're not taking ownership of this or value in this, I can't take that home with me. I can't care more than you care.
Mhm.
And so learning to like turn that off, or like sometimes like call some of my co-residents on the way home and we just like get it all out so I don't take it home to Adam, or
Mhm.
even I'll call Adam on my drive home sometimes and just like I'm like, this is I have 9 minutes till I get home and I'm going to vent about work here and then we're not allowed to talk about it
Mhm.
once I walk in the door. And I break that rule a lot, but I try.
Those are really, really great points. I'm guilty. I do the same thing. It's really tough because we're in a health field, but it's also a service field. Um, and I feel like most of us got into the profession because we care very deeply. So it's really hard sometimes not to bring it home with you, especially if it's, a tough situation with a patient, or if something maybe didn't go quite as you had planned. It's hard not to take it home, but it's good to also give yourself those boundaries. Like you said, I get 9 minutes to talk about it. And then when I get home, I need to set the boundary that, I'm going to shut it off,
Yeah.
at least until tomorrow.
Right. Do it all again.
Right.
Um, I think part of it too, and that Burnout book that we've both read, is just like allowing yourself to feel it and get it out. And, you know, there can be unhealthy venting about
Mhm.
work and about things like that. And, I do have a sense of gratitude for what I get to do every day. But if I try to hold it in, then I just like ruminate on it.
Mhm.
So it's better to just be like, this was really frustrating. And okay, now we're moving on.
I guess one of the things that I also didn't say is that I keep a gratitude journal.
That's awesome.
And so, on days particularly that can be really tough, or on whenever I feel myself getting to that point of burnout, I just write it in my journal, because if you list all of the positive things and things in life that you're grateful for, in most cases, and in the negative, it just doesn't outweigh
Yeah.
all of the ways that we're blessed.
Yeah. Do you have a certain time of day you do that? Or do you carry it with you?
I carry it with me.
That's awesome.
For the most part, I do better to do it in the evening. But on the weekends and that sort of thing, sometimes I'll start my day with it if I need to just kind of debrief from
Yeah.
the week, or to get started with a fresh and new mindset for a new week.
Yeah.
But it's definitely kind of changed my outlook on things a lot of time.
That makes a lot of sense. How do you, and I don't know if you've got this figured out, but like a routine. A lot of people, have a morning routine or a nighttime routine. And we were talking about like how that's all going to change for a lot of us when we enter practice. Any advice on that front?
So, as an associate, I had a great routine. I started each day with a workout. And, then I drove because I would commute for work, drove to work, would come home, and I'll go for a walk just about every day. Now, my routine as a practice owner, I'm still trying to figure it out.
Yeah.
Because I go to work a lot earlier, which means that I would have to go to bed earlier so that I can get up earlier to work out. So now my routine has shifted slightly, but I agree having a routine will definitely help to prevent it, and just listening to your body. And you made a good point earlier about, you have to first acknowledge what you're feeling.
Yeah.
And then once you know what you're feeling, what are you going to do about it?
Yeah.
To change it productively,
Right.
Yeah.
Important caveats.
Yes.
I guess when you were an associate, did you still plan your vacations in advance, or what did that look like as far as taking time off and like shifting patients and thing like that?
Well, when I was associate, I did get 2 weeks of paid time off, but I did try to at least plan those days a year in advance if it was going to be like a actual vacation. But otherwise, I planned it in enough time to where we could make sure that the office was covered. And so I guess since leaving residency, I have looked at each year a year in advance. And by October or so, pretty much I'll be looking at the calendar to see what days I'm going to want off for the next year.
Yeah.
And this coming year, I'm going to do better about actually executing the plans of the vacation. Well, not this coming year. I'm gonna do something with my time off that I have approaching.
At least you scheduled the time off. That's the biggest step.
Yes.
At a minimum.
For sure. For sure.
Awesome. Well, we will keep working on how to avoid burnout and take vacation time.
Right. As you all can see, it's an area that we both struggle with. So we just do our best to keep progressing.
Send us your vacation suggestions.
Thank you for joining us for this episode of Beyond Graduation. If you enjoyed this week's episode, be sure to share it with a friend. Connect with us on social media, Savanah Craig, BDS, and Dr._Sartor. And remember, you are not alone on this journey.
This episode was sponsored by the Dental Residency Guide and the Beyond Graduation ebooks. These ebooks can be found at ignitedds.com/ebooks.
Thank you so much for listening to Beyond Graduation, brought to you by Ignite DDS and Future Dentists.